hey, good day to you. This is Todd. I am a regular dude walking in the Word. Hey, we're in Exodus right now. Today we're going to be looking at Exodus 29, the whole chapter. We've talked about the tabernacle and the whole tabernacle complex, and we've talked about the priests and what they wear. And where did I have it here? I have a picture of the priest and all they wear. You can see it better there. And we've talked about all the significance of this whole garment. Today, we're going to be talking about actually the whole ceremony that was involved with when they were called to be a priest. We're all called to minister, okay? So, but then there's other people that are called to be full-time ministry. That's all they do besides their hobbies and stuff. But that's their job. There was people like that in this time period in Israel. You had the people just out, they share about God in their work and stuff, but they were farmers and all kinds of other workers. But you had the priests who were called to just be priests, okay, and that was their job, and they'd be paid by getting offerings or the stuff that was given to them at the temple or the tabernacle was then divided up amongst them, okay? And there were so many of them, they took turns doing it, except for the high priest. He was there, full time, and that was Aaron. And this is Moses' brother, Aaron. So today we're talking about that whole ceremony of that. And it's significant. Today, we do the same type of thing in churches, not as much ceremony into it, but we do the same thing. We set apart, and you have either licensing or ordination in the churches that you go to, and that's set aside for people that's their full-time ministry. And usually licensing, you're called to ministry, you're called to be a pastor or missionary or whatever. And then there's also ordination, and those are you feel called that this isn't just for a time period, but you're going to be doing this the rest of your life. Okay. And so that's what we have today. And there's a ceremony that, like I said, that we use to set those people aside with that. A lot of times it's a simple ceremony. I still remember when I was licensed years ago, that ceremony that was involved with me going into ministry. So I'm going to read this whole chapter. It's a long chapter, and it's a lot of different parts. Some of the stuff we've talked about already, and some of the stuff we're going to talk about in the future. But the main point I want you to see here is all the things that were involved, all the symbolic things that were involved, that was showing, that was setting these priests aside, and then when they were coming to serve the Lord, the symbolic thing of them being clean and representing God and so forth, all that symbolism was a part of that ceremony. Okay, so it wasn't just a 5-minute ceremony. This took a week to do this whole ceremony. So it's Exodus chapter 29 today. Let's read here. It says, "This is what you are to do to consecrate them, so they may serve me as priests. Take a young bull and 2 rams without defect, and from the finest wheat flour make round loaves without yeast, thick loaves without yeast and with olive oil mixed in, and thin loaves without yeast and brushed with olive oil. Put them in a basket and present them along with the bull and the 2 rams. Then bring Aaron and his 2 sons to the entrance of the tent of meeting, and wash them with water. Take the garments and dress Aaron with the tunic and the robe of the ephod, and the ephod itself and the breastpiece, and fasten the ephod on him by skillfully woven waistband. Put the turban on his head and attach the sacred emblem to the turban. Take the anointing oil and anoint him by pouring it on his head. Bring his sons and dress them in the tunics and fasten them on them. Then tie sashes on Aaron and his sons. The priesthood is theirs by the lasting ordinance." Okay? First thing they do is Moses gets them dressed, kind of like you have a wedding ceremony. You have a time set aside where you get dressed in your fancy suit or your wedding dress and so forth. This first part is just Moses getting them dressed with all that stuff that they were supposed to wear. All right. Verse 10. Bring the bull to the front of the tent of meeting, and Aaron and his sons shall lay their hands on its head. Okay. This is symbolic of them, taking part in this ceremony, in the sacrifice, by them laying the hands on the head like that, and their sins being conferred to that animal. Slaughter it in the Lord's presence at the entrance of the tent of meeting. Take some of the bull's blood and put it on the horns of the altar with your finger, and pour out the rest at the base of the altar. Then take all the fat on the internal organs, the long lobe of the liver, and both kidneys with the fat on them, and burn them on the altar. But burn the bull's flesh and its side and its intestines outside the camp. It is a sin offering. Take one of the rams, and Aaron and his sons shall lay their hands on its head. Okay, again, identifying with that animal. Slaughter it and take the blood and splash it against the sides of the altar. Cut the ram into pieces and wash the internal organs and the legs, putting them with the head and the other pieces. Then burn the entire ram on the altar. It is a burnt offering to the Lord, a pleasing aroma, a food offering presented to the Lord. Take the other ram, and Aaron and his sons shall lay their hands on its head. Here we go again, laying the hands on the head to identify with that animal. Slaughter and take some of its blood and put it on the lobes of the right ears of Aaron and his sons, and his thumbs of the right hands, and the big toes on their feet. Then splash the blood against the sides of the altar, and take some of the blood from the altar and some of the anointing oil, and sprinkle it on Aaron and his garments, and on the sons and their garments. Then he and his sons and their garments will be consecrated. Take from this ram the fat and the fat tail, the fat on the internal organs, the long lobe of the liver, and both kidneys with their fat on them, and the right thigh. This is the ram for ordination. From the basket of bread made without yeast, which is before the Lord, take one round loaf, one thick loaf with olive oil mixed in, and one thin loaf. Put all these in the hands of Aaron and his sons, and have them wave them before the Lord. They're waving this bread around. And as a wave offering, then take them from their hands and burn them on the altar with the burnt offering for a pleasing aroma to the Lord, a food offering presented to the Lord. After you've taken the beast of the ram, the breast of the ram, not beast of the ram, breast of the ram, after you've taken the breast of the ram for Aaron's ordination, wave it before the Lord as a wave offering, and it will be your share. Consecrate those parts of the ordination ram that belong to Aaron and his sons. The breast was waved, and the thigh that was presented. This is always to be a perpetual share from the Israelites for Aaron and his sons. It is a contribution to the Israelites are to make to the Lord from their fellowship offerings. Aaron's sacred garments will belong to the descendants so that they can be anointed and ordained in them. The son who succeeds him as priest and comes to the tent of meeting is to minister in the holy place and is to wear them for 7 days. Okay, week-long ceremony here. Take the ram for the ordination and cook the meat in the sacred place. At the entrance to the tent of meeting, Aaron and his sons are to eat the meat of the ram and the bread that is in the basket. They are to eat these offerings by which atonement was made for their ordination and consecration. But no one else may eat them, because they are sacred. And if any of the meat of the ordination ram or any bread is left over till morning, burn it up. It must not be eaten, because it is sacred. This was only for Aaron and his sons. It wasn't. It was for the priests. It wasn't for anyone else. Okay, and you were supposed to burn up whatever was left so that no one else ate it. All right. This was strictly. They were set apart. That's the whole point here. This is what you are to offer on the altar regularly each day. 2 lambs a year old. Offer one in the morning and the other in the twilight. With the first lamb, offer 1/10 of the ephah and the finest flour mixed with 1/4 of hin of oil with pressed olives, and 1/4 of hin of wine as a drink offering. Sacrifice the other lamb at twilight with the same grain offering, and its drink offering as in the morning, a pleasing aroma, a food offering presented to the Lord. For generations to come, this burnt offering is to be made regularly at the entrance of the tent of meeting before the Lord. There I will meet with you and speak to you. There I will meet you and speak to you, and there also I will meet with the Israelites, and the place will be consecrated for my glory. So I will consecrate the tent of meeting and the altar, and consecrate Aaron and his sons to serve me as priests. Then I will dwell among the Israelites and be their God. They will know that I am the Lord their God, who brought them out of Egypt so that they might dwell among them. I am the Lord their God. Concludes with saying, you do all this stuff, and then my presence is going to be there. All right. And so the whole thing, again, the whole point of this whole passage here is Aaron was set apart. And there was a whole ceremony involved with it just to show this and the importance of it. And it's important that we also do that today. You don't have to do it as involved as this, but take some time if someone's being called into ministry for that to happen. Thanks for watching. I'm a regular dude walking in the Word, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow as we continue our journey through Exodus. Lord's blessing. See you then.